if you sign up for a career in the entertainment industry, in any facet of the entertainment industry, you're signing up for a career of kind of like, I used to say the gig is the vacation, right?
Hmm.
The gig is when you have the thing, that's when you're doing what you love and when everything's working. But your
Yeah.
job is getting the gig, right? Like, so once you're right back out into that real world, it's very
Hmm.
scary. It's very abrupt. And no matter how high you climbed, right, you're always kind of starting back at ground zero.
Yeah.
So it was truly this moment of like, I was never terrified, but it was just like I had, you know what it was? I had a, you want to talk about kindness? I had my friend
Yeah.
Daniel Vasovic. He talks about this whole idea of, sitting in the discomfort, sitting in the I don't know.
Hmm.
When I stepped off, we actually, to kind of celebrate my stepping off, Taryn and I and Daniel went to the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, which is no more the Star Wars Hotel, if you've ever heard of it. And Daniel was just talking about like, yeah, you are stepping off into an unknown territory, and it kind of feels like you're stepping in mud. And when you step in mud, everybody's the human condition says to clean the mud off you, right? To get clean, to move forward. And he was like, but what if you didn't? What if you just sat with the
Mm.
mud on your shoe for a little while? What if you just sat there and just let it be uncomfortable? And it really took a lot of giving myself grace and just meditation and trusting my wife and trusting my friends and being quiet for a little while to do that. But it truly is this moment where I look back now and I'm like, man,
Hmm.
that really I'm so grateful for the way this worked out, because it didn't have to be like this. I truly did not, it did not have to go down like this. And
Yeah.
I am very grateful. Chris Fitz, right? This is the guy. I'll come out of my dressing room. I'll be on the, going to the bathroom. We share a floor, and he's still going over his lines. He's still
Mm.
figuring out different ways to say a thing. He's trying jokes out on people. Like, it is such a pursuit for him, and the
Mm.
pursuit is the point, right? It's never about I'm gonna get it. It's always about, ooh, but can we? What if I tried this? Right? He is the ultimate kind of leaning into example of leaning into process.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much from just being in his orbit and becoming his friend. He is a
That's
gold mine.
amazing. Now, anyway, I get to get to the theme today. Today's theme is kindness through,
Yes.
your eyes. I would love to know, Nick, what is your definition of kindness besides Batman?
Besides Batman, who's so kind. Uh selflessness.
Hmm.
Selflessness. I think that kindness gets a bum rap. And I was thinking about this in anticipation of coming on here because, right, kindness is so often looked at as action, as the active giving of something, the active doing of something. I'm doing you a kindness. I'm being kind to you. But I think for me personally, if I really break it down, the people who have been kindest to me in my life, who I remember most dearly, are the people who just held space for me, who didn't try to impact me, but just let me be.
Hmm.
Let me just be in whatever space I need to be at the time, whether that was a space of joy and they were right there with my joy, or a space of grief, a space of hardship or heartache. Like, kindness is I think at the very basis the understanding that the world is bigger than you,
Hmm.
and that at some point you have to put you down and be of service to somebody else, be present for somebody else and with somebody else. All the kind people in my life are people that can, I call it the actor's conundrum, the artist conundrum, right? I have a big pet peeve about artists who can only talk about themselves or their art,
Hmm. Hmm.
who can who for whatever reason are afraid to ask questions, who are afraid to be curious
Hmm.
about how your day is going, who really can't follow that thread and just not solve your issue, but just be present with you. That's kindness to me, because that's kindness is also, I think, an embracing of what the world really is in the moment. Right? Kindness is not the world is a perfect place. Kindness is also not the world is a dark and hopeless place.
Hmm.
Kindness is I want to hear what the world is. Kindness is I want to allow the world to tell me what it is.
Mm.
And kindness, I think, in that way is so infinite and special because, right, it is the ultimate kind of, I don't know, kind of just acceptance,
Mm.
acceptance, the ultimate
Yeah.
acceptance.
Is there, I'm sure there were a lot, but is there an act of kindness that stands out to you as sort of changing your trajectory?
Yes, 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 there was, and it's one that when you said it just hit me how special it was.
Mm.
So, Ain't Too Proud was my first Broadway lead, right? I had led shows before. I had led shows on a Broadway tour, but I'd never led a show within the Times Square radius. Ain't Too Proud was a special show. It is a special show.
Mm.
Dominique Morisseau's script is second to none. The way, like, because there's jukebox musicals, there's musicals about bands, and then there's Ain't Too Proud. And Ain't Too Proud, I think the beauty of what Dominique did was she said, "Okay, I know you want me to tell the story of Temptations. I'm just going to tell the story of five black men who lived through civil rights Detroit, and they happen to be Temptations."
Mm.
And we'll see what happens. And it just became this love letter to her town, to this group, to these guys, to what they did. But the biggest thing about Ain't Too Proud was the dancing. Um, that show has some of the most gorgeous group dancing. It's so funny because I was watching the video today of our final vows. It's stunning. It's stunning.
Mm.
And if you know anything about my career, I'm very vocal about the fact that I'm not a dancer. I don't know how to dance. I
Same.
can
I'd say a
literally,
mover, moderate mover,
absolutely, moderate
right?
mover. I can literally do the moves that you pay me to do.
Hmm.
And so when Des McAnuff, who directed Ain't Too Proud, I've known him for many many years.
Legend.
He
Yeah.
called he's amazing. He was my college best friend's godfather. Was
No
how I
way.
how I did not know who he was, but he literally is responsible for my career. Like he
Wow.
gave me my start. He is the best thing ever happened. And he was like, yeah, I want you to come and replace Derek. We're gonna send Edgar, who is the associate choreographer, out to your tour of Hamilton so that you can go through a dance boot camp and we'll teach you how to dance. So 5 weeks at Hamilton, it was me. I was dancing from 10 to 4, and then I was doing the show at night. And Edgar was there, and they flew him out, and he would come out to the city, hang with me, teach me how to dance, go back. And the kindness that I want to highlight, because it wasn't just that Edgar was there. This is the perfect example of, so I cannot tell you how terrified I was to go into this show. This show was black in a way that I did not consider myself. I had never been, outside of, my Broadway debut, which is Motown the Musical. I had never been around so many black people. It was about a sect of black culture that was not, I grew up, like you said, in Boston. I was one of the only black kid I knew. A lot of
Hmm.
the times this is a show about a black community, but it was terrifying. It was terrifying. And Edgar knew that. And the care that he showed me in those 5 weeks, the patience he had for me. It, Edgar is one of the best choreographers you'll ever meet, but that man took care of me, and he didn't move forward with something until I got it, and he reminded me not to beat myself up. He prepared me in such a way that when I finally stepped on that stage, I felt ready. I felt good. I felt okay with myself, and there was still learning to do. Like there was still because you still even though all those boys were my friends, Jawan and James Harkness and Jelani, um, right? You still stepping up there with them, and you can learn the moves by yourself, but you have to match them. But it at least gave me the confidence. There was never a point at which he did not. I knew that I wasn't going to fail because he had my back. And that's very different than just teaching someone some moves.
Hmm.
He took care of me. And it was one of the scariest transitions I've ever had professionally, and he took care of me. And I'll never forget it, and I'll never be able to thank him for it.